Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Glen Oaks, Queens, a wonderful family-oriented neighborhood. And it is within this neighborhood that we were all truly horrified and agonized to learn that this man of peace, Swami Puri-ji, had been attacked last week and attacked in the most vicious and senseless of ways. We're going to hear from him in a little bit, but I just want to say that we're standing here in unity to denounce this kind of attack, to denounce any hate that might have been behind this heinous attack, and to say that this does not represent the community. And in fact, this is a community that is family-oriented, it is strong, it is a community, a tight-knit community with lots of diversity, including this tremendous asset we have here in the Shiv Shakti Peeth Temple. This is a temple that's been here for 2 years now. I had the honor of representing this temple when it was located in Flushing for many years. And our Swami has been the founder and here from the beginning, along with many of his members here. This is a community of peace. And going forward, we are, number one, sending a very strong message that any kind of hate will not be tolerated here or anywhere. And that if there's legislation that is going to be needed, then we will spare no haste in passing that legislation. An example of legislation would be the religious garb bill that was passed in the state legislature just a couple of months ago. I proudly sponsored it in the Senate. Assemblymember David Weprin sponsored it in the Assembly. That religious garb bill expressly prohibits discrimination in the workplace on the basis of a person's religious appearance, whether it be in their clothing or in their facial hair or appearance. When there's when there's discrimination in the employment, it leads to people thinking that it's okay to treat people differently. And once people start that slippery slope, down that slippery slope of thinking it's okay to treat people differently, this is where things get worse and worse. And ultimately, it invariably results in attacks as Swamiji has suffered. I've been around too long to believe that these kinds of attacks are any kind of random acts of violence. They are premeditated to some extent, no matter the condition of the attacker. And so we're here to stand united in support of our beloved Swami, and to say that we will not tolerate in this community. We will hear from Swami Puri-ji in a little bit, but looks like we have just a few speakers to hear from. We're gonna ask our great Attorney General to lead us off, and we're going to ask everybody to be very witty in their remarks. Brevity is the soul of wit. So with that, the Attorney General, Letitia James.
Thank you. With all due respect to my colleague in government, Senator Liu, this is not the time to be witty. This is the time to do some soul searching about the existential threat to our country and the level of hate, unfortunately, that we are seeing not only in New York, but all across this country. I've been in government for a very long time, and I've been to too many of these conferences. And when we stood together against members of the Jewish community, against the African American community, and the list goes on and on and on. So I am here today just to show my support to Swamiji and the entire Hindu community, that this terrible attack will never be tolerated here in Queens, New York City, or anywhere throughout the state of New York. And it's critically important that after each and every attack, that individuals come together, individuals who are different, individuals from different diverse backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds. That is critically important to show New York and to show the world that we are stronger when we are one, and that all that separates us are nothing more than artificial constructs. And the reality is that diversity really is our strength. The fact that we are different is our strength. And so it's so critically important that all of us embrace one another and stand with Swami Ji during this period of time. And to let everyone know that this dark cloud of hatred will pass and that we will all be together. But it's important that everyone understand that this dark cloud of hate has been brewing for some time. And I can recall a time when we all talked about unity, when we all talked about building a more perfect union, when we all talked about love. And that's really what I want to focus on, the power of love. And it was evidenced by this man saying to his attacker, simple words, I forgive you. I don't know if I could do that. God's still working on me. But we should all learn from this man. This is a time when all of us should be taught the lessons of this great man. This is a teaching moment for all of us as a nation and as a state to talk more about love and to not allow the seeds of hate to divide us. Not in this city, not in this state, not in this country. Love is much more powerful than hate. And I stand with you, and I stand with you always. God bless you.
Thank you, General James. We have Congressmember Gregory Meeks.
Thank you, Senator Liu, to our Attorney General, all of the elected officials, to the priests of this temple. This day reminds me of a time that I thought we would have grown from, where we would not be talking and even thinking about people hating someone simply because of who they are, what their religion is, what ethnicity they are, what their gender may have been. We never want to go back to that America. We thought that we had progressed past all of that. And yet today, we stand here because we're concerned about individuals who may be targeted. Fortunately, in this situation, it may have come that the individual was deranged. So we do have a problem there to make sure that we have mental health facilities for those who have mental problems. But the fact that even I, when I put out my initial statement, was concerned about bigotry. Because when we have language that's coming from 1600 Pennsylvania, telling folks to go back home, it endangers all of us and every one of us. For indeed, as our diversity, and as I look at my brothers and my sisters that may, in this case, have come from South Asia, you have really made America greater than it's ever been. The fact that you're here demonstrates to the rest of the world of what we can be as a society if we are together and unified. Diversity, and that's why I'm glad we're all standing here, and I wanted to make sure that we're here together, because diversity is our strength. But then when you see all of us coming around, unity is our power. And it's the power to tell those who do not want to see the diversity that we're going to stand together against that evil. And when you look, as the Attorney General was just saying, at the strength, the common dignity, the humanity of Priest Puri, it reminds me of a time that I thought that we didn't have to go back to, when Dr. King was stabbed in Harlem, almost lost his life, but came back and forgave his attacker. It shows you the humanity of the priest for all mankind. It shows how he wants to bring us all together. It shows how, as the Attorney General says, that love is indeed stronger, and it sets an example for all of us to follow. I would hope it's an example that the occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue learns. It's an example that the occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania should follow and should articulate as a leader of the nation, bringing this nation together, not separating and dividing us as a nation. And so I'm here in solidarity to say that we stand with you, because in essence, we are all one. We are all the same. We are all human beings. We are all loving beings, and together we shall clearly defeat those who would want to separate us. Again, thank you, Senator Lou, for bringing us together.
Thank you, Congressman Meeks. We have my colleague in the neighboring part of Queens, Senator Leroy Comrie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here today, standing with my colleagues in government. I want to thank Senator Lou for bringing us together. I would invite all of you to look at this community. This is an embedded community. The South Asian community is this community. This community is business, home ownership, children, a lifestyle that has been in this community for years now, almost 2 decades. And as the previous speakers have said, we are concerned because there are coded words given out by the highest leader in this land that is allowing people that are that are scared about what their status is, that are concerned about change, that are fearful of embracing the beautiful mosaic that's standing here, that is about peace, that is about love, that is about togetherness, that is about education. And so we're here today to not just condemn the act, but to appeal to all people to understand that this is love. This is America. This is why our country was founded, so that all people could be one. And we need to send out that message to all folks that may be afraid because they're getting coded language from certain people that are afraid of the change of this country, that this is powerful. This is what we are going to be in the future. This is what we need to embrace. We need to extend the love. And to all of the folks that are here today, we want to encourage you to continue to find ways to work together, to ignore the negative messages that are coming from certain people that are scared of the future, and to embrace this beautiful mosaic that we have today. So I can't say it any better than the speakers that have already spoken, but I'm here today in solidarity and unity and with consistency to make sure that we work with all our communities in Queens to make sure that we're all treated respectfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Comrie. The first South Asian elected official in the state of New York, Senator Kevin Thomas. My little brother.
By age,
not size.
not size. Good morning. You know, it breaks my heart that we are all gathered here to talk about hatred and bigotry. I am the state senator for District 6, which is mid-Nassau County. I do not represent this constituency, but as the first South Asian state senator, these are my people, and I am here to stand up for them. Immigrants make our country better. United we stand, divided we fall. This Shiv Shakti temple, like so many in our country, is an all-American story. This temple has been part of New York City and this community for a very long time. It serves hundreds of families, some who've lived here for decades, as well as immigrants who've worked to become proud American citizens. First of all, I want to thank the Shiv Shakti Temple and Swamiji for serving this community. Thank you for lifting up the lives of your neighbors and for helping keep us strong and united as one American family. We are grateful for that. Another reason we are here today is because of what happened to Swamiji. These acts of violence have no place in our community. A hateful act against one community is an attack on all of us here, regardless of what religion we are. I had a conversation with Swamiji last night who basically said, I forgive my attacker. I pray for him so that he'll be a better person tomorrow. I admire his grace and his strength. I'm also thankful for the Attorney General, her support in all of this, the NYPD, and my legislative colleagues from the Assembly and the State Senate. We must draw on our strengths as a community to ensure the safety of all New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Thomas. Assemblymember Clyde Van Ellen, whose district we are. Clyde.
First, I'd like to thank Senator John Liu and all my colleagues in government for being here, and all the different community members. Sitting here, I have to think about, what does an American look like? What does a community member look like? What does a New Yorker look like? Do they look like me? Do they look like the Swamijit? Like John Liu? You're looking at Americans. You're looking at New Yorkers. You're looking at community members. Hate has no place in our community. This is a great community of family values. One thing that all my colleagues in government understand, that it's difficult to do what we do. But when there are houses of worship that guide people in the community, that guide the entire community, what have you, that helps a whole lot. And this temple is a beacon of light in the center of our community. Another thing that we have to learn is about forgiveness. That's a lesson that we have to continually rediscover and relearn. And what a great example that we've learned today. As the Attorney General said, the strength of a person to be able to forgive his attackers at the moment, and even speak that now, humbles all of us. Thank you for being such an example to the community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Thank you, Assemblymember Vanell. Assemblymember Dave Weprin, the sponsor of legislation earlier this year.
As Senator Liu mentioned, that's why it's so important that we recognize all communities and have legislation like the bill Senator Liu and I sponsored and is going to the governor's desk to prohibit all discrimination against anyone in employment, public or private, in New York State for wearing religious garb, attire, or facial hair. This is a very diverse community. I've represented this community for 8 years in the City Council, and now 9.5 years in the Assembly. I actually started across the street, but cover this whole region. It's unfortunate this is not the first time that we've come together as many ethnic groups, many religions, in support of an individual or an incident. This has to be investigated as a hate crime. We all have to come together. One day it's the African American community, another day the Latino community or the Asian community. In this area, it's often the Sikh community. Here, in this case, the Hindu community, or of course the Muslim community. We have many Muslims in this area. Anytime hate rears its ugly head, it's so important that we all come together and stand united. Hate crime against any one of us or any religion or ethnic background is a hate crime against all of us. Thank you, Senator Liu, for bringing us together, and I hope that this will be the last time that we have to come together, but unfortunately, I think we're all afraid that it's not going to be the last time, but it's very important that we all speak out, and we speak out loudly. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Weprin. Assemblymember Alicia Heinman.
Thank you very much, Senator Liu, for sending an email out and look at the turnout that happened. I got this last night, but to the Swami, I am just thankful that you're standing upright with us, because you show your humbleness and your forgiveness shows this community what America is, no matter what's going on. What did my Congressman say? 1600 in Washington. I want to say this. This is what Queens looks like. Everyone in here is what this borough represents. and our Attorney General said it, and all my colleagues have said it, that we will not stand for any kind of hate or bigotry, because if you attack one of us, you attack all of us. This place is so diverse, and when you look at us, you realize that we will stand together to drive out the hate in this borough, in this city, in this state. I'm thankful our Attorney General is leading the charge, making sure to push back against all of the policies that come out of the White House that attack good New Yorkers. And to Swami, thank you for showing us an example of what love is, because you are a beacon of love, and this temple is blessed to have you in leadership, and I'm thankful that I'm able to be here with my colleagues to fight and push back against the hate and bigotry that takes place in this great borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hyndman. Assemblymember Ed Braunstein.
Thank you for bringing us here today, Senator Liu. It's very important for us to come together at a time like this. Queens, I believe, is the most diverse county in the country, maybe the world. And we celebrate that diversity. That's what makes it so great to live here. And we serve as a model for the rest of the world on how to live together peacefully. So an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And unfortunately, this is not the first time we've come together when there's been incidents in the community. And always the first group to show up and lend support is the Hindu community. So we're here to have your back, to let you know and let the rest of the community know that we will not tolerate hate in our community, and we're going to stand together. So it's an honor to be here to show my support. I also want to thank the Attorney General for being here. This is the top law enforcement officer in the state of New York who's come out here to lend her support. We appreciate having you here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ed Braunstein. We have a tremendous leader here in Queens and beyond, and she, a couple of years ago, agreed to be a district leader in the Democratic Party of Queens. Dr. Nita Jain was instrumental in putting this together. Dr. Jain.
Thank you, John. Thank you for calling me and putting this up here. As we all are here talking about hatred and bigotry, I just want to say, first of all, that I'm serving my community for more than 20 years, and we had never seen this kind of action before, especially with our spiritual gurus, and they are the pillars of our community. If attack on them means attack on our whole community, and we always believe our community values are love, peace, harmony, and compassion. That's the only thing we give to others, and that's the thing we only expect from others. So thank you, Swamiji, for your spirit that he already said that he forgive the man who attacked. But this, I hope this will stop right here, as all the colleagues in government are saying. And I'm very thankful to Attorney General that she came out here in very short notice. And I really want to urge that for some time, if we can raise our securities around all the worship houses in our county or in our whole city, because as you see that we are standing here in solidarity. You see, we have Sikh, we have Hindus, we have Jains, we have Muslims. Everybody is standing here. There's a reason behind it, because we want to tell all of these people who think viciously and who act viciously that we are all together, and we are standing here in unity. Nobody can divide us, nobody can hurt us anymore. So God bless all of you. God bless America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Nita Jain. Next we have Dr. Krishna Pratap Dishit, the head priest of the Hindu Center in Flushing.
धन्यवाद जॉन लो। हम यहाँ पे स्वामी जी के साथ जो दुर्घटना हुई उसके निंदा करने के लिए एकत्रित हुए हैं। स्वामी जी हमारे कम्युनिटी के धार्मिक नेता हैं, और यह दुर्घटना, यह अटैक जो स्वामी जी के ऊपर हुआ है, यह हमारे जड़ पे है। स्वामी जी ही हम सभी को प्रेम और भाईचारे का पाठ पढ़ाते हैं। हम लोग सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः में विश्वास करने वाले लोग हैं। सभी शांतिपूर्वक रहें, ऐसा विश्वास और ऐसी शिक्षा हमारे स्वामी जी को द्वारा मिलती है। कल भी मैं स्वामी जी से मिला था, परसों मेरी टेलीफोन पे बात हुई थी स्वामी जी से, और स्वामी जी ने जो बताया कि दीक्षित जी मुझे बहुत उसने मारा, लेकिन फिर भी मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि उसको सद्बुद्धि आए। यह स्वामी जी की स्वामिता है और महानता है। हम सभी मिल करके यहाँ पे शांति से रहें, ऐसी मेरी प्रार्थना है और ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है कि आप सभी लोग एकजुट रहें ताकि ऐसी दुर्घटना है जो है वो भविष्य में न हो सके। मैं यहाँ कम्युनिटी लीडर से भी आग्रह करूँगा कि इसकी पुनरावृत्ति भविष्य में किसी के साथ न हो, ऐसी व्यवस्था आप करें। धन्यवाद स्वामी जी।
Thank you, Dr.
Say one
Tisha.
line in English, what he said?
Yeah.
I just want to say in very short that what he said that we are standing here as united as we can, and he's saying that I will pray for the attacker that he will have wisdom of non-violence, and we all live in peace and harmony.
Thank you. Dr. Uma Mazarka, the president of the Hindu Temple Society of North America.
Swamiji, namaste. Namaste. Greetings to all of you. On behalf of the Hindu Temple Society of North America, I want to extend my best wishes to Swamiji. I bring the divine blessings of Sri Mahaganapati and all the deities of the temple for your rapid and complete recovery and continued service to the community. It certainly was a shocking news for all of us, and we sincerely hope, as the community is standing together, this unity will sustain not just today, but for days and months and years to come. And regardless of which temple we belong, regardless of which service we do, we pray one God, and we pray that God, whoever it be, to shower grace and blessings on all the human beings to look forward for a better future. And I certainly, it was difficult for me to assume that a Swamiji could be attacked, but I guess this is the world today, and we should be prepared to accept anything, but take steps to prevent further. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Uma. Thank you, Dr. Uma. One more speaker we'll hear from the Swami. That's Aminta Kilawan Nareen from the Coalition of Progressive Hindus.
Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Sastrikal, Shalom, and good morning, everyone. My name is Aminta Kilawan Narayan, and I am a co-founder of Sadhana, Coalition of Progressive Hindus. We're a social justice nonprofit that centers the values at the heart of Hinduism as we see them: ahimsa, nonviolence, ekatva, oneness of all, and seva, selfless service. Today we're here for one reason, that is to stand in solidarity with Swami Puriji and with all of the devotees of the Shiv Shakti Peeth Temple. So we believe it is our dharma to refuse to accept tyranny, to empower the marginalized into action, and we stand up and we speak out when injustice occurs. It's our dharma to denounce the racist, anti-immigrant, and Islamophobic rhetoric in our country today. Bigoted rhetoric and policies at the top result in bigoted actions in our local communities. To say that this incident hit home is to say the least. There are times when I myself am nervous about traveling in the subways with my tikka on my forehead. I know that I'm not immune from such violence, and to presume otherwise would be ignorant of the times in which we live. So we need to shift the culture around us. When one of us is attacked, as many of the speakers said, all of us are attacked. And I think that we need to speak up as a collective, so I'm very thankful for Senator Liu bringing us together today. Many of us are enraged by what happened to Swamiji, but as many of us said, we can learn so much from him. The question Swamiji asked from the very beginning is, why did this happen? It's actually easy to penalize, but it's much harder to transform. Why did Swamiji's attacker think it was okay to do what he did? How can we reframe the narrative to bring about peace? So for Sadhana, our message is twofold: to denounce the hatred and the bigotry, because for us, the same divinity resides equally in all of us, and we also have to embrace Swamiji's compassionate perspective, recognizing even in this man who attacked Swamiji is a person who deserves our compassion. So we will build a platform for truth and justice and fight hard against those forces that divide. But our platform, since we are a people of deep faith, is to have room and compassion and forgiveness for the misguided ones among us. And as was invoked by previous speakers, there were those who lived by these tenets. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, they often paid with their lives. We have to think, how do we push beyond the traditional forms of justice and shift towards transformative justice. So people see the roots of the violence and we can change that. Can we imagine a world in which peace prevails? I think we can, and we can create that world together. And we must acknowledge that there's a struggle between good and evil. That's a struggle within every single one of us. So before we denounce another for a crime, we also have to recognize in ourselves that struggle between good and evil. And Swamiji is on that path. And so when I was thinking last night about Swamiji, I was thinking about a bhajan that I hold dear to my heart. It's called Vaishnava Janito, and it goes like this. Vaishnava Janito, tere kahi je pira paraye jani re. So who is a Vaishnav? A Vaishnav is someone who empathizes with others, feels the pain of others, and helps anyone in need. And when I think about Swamiji, I think about a Vaishnav. And at the same time, we're calling on the NYPD to take this matter seriously, as we know you are, bringing swift justice to the matter, see it for what it is, and to, connect with Swamiji in the temple every step of the way. Before I close, I just wanted to ask everyone to repeat after me. We are one.
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 Thank you and namaste.
Thank you. I want to thank Stanage Sanji from Congressmember Grace Meng's office for being here. I want to thank Howard Pollack, representing New York City Council Speaker Corey Johnson, for being here. Susan Seinfeld, also a district leader in this area. Swami Nithganda, thank you very much, Swami. And also Chaya CDC and representatives of the New York City Human Rights Commission. We're going to hear from Swami. Swami doesn't actually have a lot of words to say. He does have some things to say. But I just want to say that, look, a lot of people have already expressed a very simple notion that this is about forgiveness, not about outrage. I'll be the first to admit, when I heard of this thing last week, to know that somebody had attacked a religious leader right in our community, someone who I happen to know very well, who's the very diametric opposite of hate and violence. To see somebody like this attacked, your blood boils. You are outraged, enraged, and you want something done. But then I came to see the Swami, and he just looks at you. I said, what's the matter? Let's try to find out what happened. And we can forgive this person. And that has been his message all along. He's here not to talk about the details of his attack, and it was very vicious. Not to talk about anything bad, but to first and foremost thank the community for the incredible outpouring of support, and to send a strong message of conciliation, of forgiveness, of pardon. And in fact, that's what he is about. That is what this temple is about. I dare say that is what our community is about. Swami Puri Ji.
सबसे पहले भगवान का धन्यवाद करता हूँ.
First of all, I would like to thank the Lord Almighty.
और जॉन लू और हमारे सेनेट काउंसिल, अटॉर्नी जनरल, जितने भी ऑफिसर हैं, जितने भी आए हुए पत्रकार, टीवी चैनल, सबका मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ.
I want to thank Senator John Liu and everybody else from the Assembly and all of the places that they have come forward, and all of our reporters that have come here today.
सबसे पहले मैं धन्यवाद उस माई का करता हूँ, उस वोमेन का जिसने फ़ोन करके पुलिस को बुलाया.
I want to thank the woman first of all, who was the first one to call the police to come.
And after पुलिस का भी धन्यवाद, सारे न्यूयॉर्क पुलिस का.
And my gratitude to the New York Police Department.
और आज जो हम सब इकट्ठे हुए हैं, ये हमारी एक फैमिली है, जो हमारे शास्त्रों में वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, सारी फैमिली एक जैसी है. इससे पता लगता है कि हम सब लोग एक हैं.
We have all gathered here today as one family. Our scriptures talk about that the world is one big family.
और भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि सबका कल्याण हो, सब सुखी रहें, आनंद में रहें, और हमारा ये जो देश है अमेरिका, ये सब प्रकार से सुरक्षित रहे, और ऐसे लोगों से सावधान रहें. भगवान उन्हें सुख दे.
And I pray that our country remains at peace. Everybody lives a wonderful life and everyone who has come here is uplifted. And for those who feel hatred, may they also be uplifted and feel the peace within themselves.
सबका धन्यवाद नमस्कार.
I offer my gratitude. Namaste.
Thank you very much. We'll take a few questions if there are any. Yes.
I'm just wondering whether you and or in general can speak to what is happening in regards to the investigation. Is this a hate crime in your eyes? Is there pressure being brought on the police to investigate this as a hate crime?
I'll speak for myself, and we'll invite the Attorney General to come up. The police have initially not characterized it as a hate crime, but as a crime perpetrated again by somebody who is mentally disturbed. As I said from the beginning, I have seen too many of these things to believe that this was a random act of violence. Random acts of violence are bad enough as they are, but when somebody is targeted because of his religious role, because he's a couple of blocks away from the temple that he presides at, it's really difficult to think that it was just a pure coincidence. I do believe that there was some kind of hate behind this, but I'll let the NYPD do their job without interference, the Attorney General.
Mr. G wears the scars of hate and pain, but also the scars of courage and compassion. And it's clear to me that this should be treated as a hate crime. So I'm urging NYPD to investigate it as such. And for those individuals who may have witnessed it, I urge them to come forward. Now is the time for this community to surround the Muslim community, the Sikh community, this community as a whole, and step forward with information leading to the arrest and indictment and ultimately the conviction of the Sikh person who, again, would violate the sanctity of this man, who would violate his spirit, but nonetheless who would bring us all together to talk about love, peace, compassion, and acceptance. There's no room for hate in this community, no room for hate in our city, and no room for hate in our nation, and certainly no room for hate at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Okay.
First, Swamiji, how does it feel to see everyone united behind you like this? And if you could go, and just in general, how you felt, obviously after and versus now.
This is the peaceful time, and सबका इस समय धन्यवाद ही कर सकता हूँ इतना साथ दे रहे हैं एक दूसरे के साथ.
This is actually a peaceful time right now, and all I can do is offer my gratitude to everybody for coming here together and to be in solidarity here as one. आपने उस आदमी से बात किया जिसने आपको
एकदम आके अटैक कर लिया, बात कहाँ करनी?
There was no chance to have any meeting at the moment, and I think he's still recovering from his situation. वो आदमी से अगर आपको मिलने को मिलेगा अवसर तब मिलोगे.
किसके लिए?
What should I meet him for?
No, I mean if he would have the opportunity to speak with him.
It's okay.
He's open to that.
How are you feeling?
आपको कैसे?
It's okay. God bless. God power everywhere. Then this is very important. You believe God and God with you.
All right.
Amen.
I'm just wondering if we could speak to what I think it was Dr. Ching
yes.
earlier about the issue of safety. Is there a history involving this of harassment involving this individual and this temple? And second, there was another assault on a Hindu priest 3 months ago in New Jersey that received some attention. Is there in fact a pattern of assaults or violence or harassment against Hindu institutions that anybody here can speak to?
Dr. Jane, do you want to?
Listen, this is not news for anyone. Our different religious worship places are always under attack. So that's the reason I'm urging everyone in general that please raise our security and alert around all the worship places. Not only in Queens, but all over, wherever we can do it, possibly, to prevent future attacks and prevent future this kind of calamities in our community. Not only in our community, but for every community. As I said before, when you see behind me, we have all different religious people are standing here. We have all different ethnicity people are standing here. So this is not only for Hindu, but for every single person. As we all said, that attack on one is attack on all of us.
As far as the first question goes, are you or anyone else here aware of a pattern of behavior involving this individual and this institution or people here?
We are not aware of that at this point.
I mean, again, we're awaiting the NYPD
Yeah.
report, and they
Yes,
made some indications that this may not be the attacker's first offense. May not be the attacker's first offense, but again, I would wait for the NYPD's full official report. As far as if there's a rising incidence of hate crimes or attacks against people in the Hindu community or other communities for that matter, I think there's plenty of literature and documentation out there, perhaps some prepared by you fine people, that have indicated a rise in hate crimes and bigotry in this country. Now, I can go off on this, but I will tell you, Swami Puriji asked me to not let this get too political. And not talk about what's happening in this country. You believe me, you guys can all talk about what's happening in this country. We're not going to stop you. But he asked me not to do this, so I'm not going to get into that. His is a message of conciliation and of forgiveness and of pardon and bringing the community together. And even though I know we're all outraged and enraged, but we're trying to hold it in here out of respect for him. This is the message that the man wants to preach.